You know, I love getting Steam achievements, and I hate that I love getting Steam achievements. Steam achievements are really weird from an artistic perspective. Like, could you imagine getting the equivalent of Steam achievements on any other artistic medium? Like, for each season of a TV show that you finish, you get a pop-up for an achievement. Or if you read 10,000 words in a book, you get an achievement. Or what if listening to the same Pixel Terror song 300 times in a row rewarded you with a tinnitus achievement? Steam achievements, and I guess video game achievements broadly, seem to really only work with this particular medium. It's not like other mediums haven't tried to incorporate achievements into their whole shindig. I think Netflix had achievements for one point. According to Reddit, YouTube apparently had achievements at some point as well. Audible has achievements that nobody really cares about. But achievements conceptually never really seem to stick with other mediums outside of video games. I'd imagine this is in large part due to the comparative player interactivity that video games have. The audience of video games are more involved in the art than most other mediums in which you sort of spy on a story from behind the fourth wall. And as a result, different people can have wildly different experiences in video games, which means that collecting achievements would be a lot less linear and pointless than in a TV show or book or whatever. The dynamic nature of video games gives achievements the opportunity to actually mean something of some kind of value in this medium. But what is that value exactly? What do you think Steam achievements are for? Why do people care about them? Why do I care about them? Well, as far as I can tell, achievements have a few primary potential purposes, if those purposes are even thought of consciously by game developers, and there's a lot of overlap in these. Markers of progression, markers of a thorough playthrough, markers of dedication to a game, markers of developers acknowledging and respecting certain playstyles, and markers of pride. The interesting thing though is that these markers feel redundant. They can be in the game itself without any achievement system. The difference between defeating a boss in a video game and having an achievement for defeating that boss in that video game is a curiosity to me, in that achievements seem to be fascinatingly on the border of the art and the other side of the fourth wall. Like, would you say that Steam achievements are part of the game itself? Like, in a literal sense, there is code embedded in the game that triggers these achievements on Steam. So I guess they're part of the game, but there's a sense of disconnection that achievements have from the rest of the game. I personally get this feeling especially on Steam, where achievements are on the Steam library page. The achievements feel like they're more a part of Steam, the platform, than the game itself. I don't see my entire Persona 4 compendium on my Persona 4 Steam page. I just have an achievement that sort of represents its 100% completion. I don't see all of my Hollow Knight mask shards on my Steam page, just an achievement that represents 4 whole masks or all of the masks. Would it be cool if Steam allowed me to see how many grubs I had collected, or my charm collection, or my essence count on the library page? Yeah, that'd be cool. But the point that I'm trying to make is that achievements on my Steam page don't feel like they're part of the game. They feel like they float in a void between the fourth wall and I. Even achievements that aren't related to Steam, that are just in an optional menu somewhere, feel this way to me. I believe that art is communication, and I believe that video games are art. But Steam achievements don't feel like the artists or developers communicating through the game. They feel like the devs communicating more directly to us. This list of achievements is a comprehensive list of how the artists think we should approach their art. It's a list of ways the developers view as valid ways to experience their game. And when you are getting achievements, it's like the developers are encouraging you by letting you know that you are experiencing the art the way they intended you to experience it. It's like a more direct line of communication that supplements actually playing the game. But do we really need this? Do I want the artist to be telling me what I should be getting out of their art? Something, death of the author, etc., etc. People seem to really like getting achievements and probably don't care and probably don't overthink this topic very much. Maybe I'm just thinking too hard about this topic. Maybe I should just adopt the attitude of fellow _fan Star _, who posted a video about Steam achievements over a decade ago.
Yo everybody, Star here. What is going on? Today we are popping achievements on a brand new account because I finally cracked and actually made one.
Team Fortress 2 is a free video game, a free video game with 520 Steam achievements. I personally have like 500 hours in the game and I have like half of these achievements. The thing is, once you've put so much time into TF2 and you have all of those achievements, you can't exactly unearn those Steam achievements. But fortunately, because the game is free to play, you can just create a new Steam account and play the game that way so that you can start from the beginning and earn all of them again. Why would you want to do that, though?
There was a little thing known as achievements, where when you did something, you don't even know what you did, the game would congratulate you, play a swanky tune, and let you know that you are in fact incredible. I 100% absolutely do not care how many people it takes on the other team to stand completely still for me to get all of my achievements in one go. I am going to feel good about doing it. I've actually done this many times in the past, even before I had a YouTube channel.
Many times?
Where I'd create a new account on Team Fortress 2 just so that I can have the experience of popping achievements once again.
But *_ from over a decade ago, I'm sure you're having fun playing TF2, but it almost sounds like this meta game of hunting the achievements is more fun for you than the game itself, right?
Everything is looking quite swanky right now. I'm gonna use that word again, just throwing out the swank on this one.
And for some people, not all people, but for some of us, this meta game of achievement hunting is so much fun that we will create a new Steam account just to collect them all again. And everyone just accepts this? This is fine to you? You don't think about this? You don't think about this at all. What if this is the downfall of the artistic value of video games, huh? What then? I, for one, can't think of a more pressing issue than that. Team Fortress 2 even has achievement servers where you can get people to line up for you so that you can get 2 headshots in a row with the Machina sniper rifle. For what? A pop-up? A pop-up you receive by playing the game in a manner against the will of our Lord and Savior Gabe Newman? I won't stand for this. People who get Steam achievements this way just want to take the easy path in life. Jordan Peterson would be very disappointed in you, bucko. But like, can we think about this for a minute in all seriousness? Like, actually, people love Steam achievements, so much so that the community is willing to create entire servers dedicated to you getting them easier. I've seen Steam users give games negative Steam reviews purely because the achievements were bugged. No criticism of the game itself, they just didn't get the achievements they wanted. What does that say about us? What does that say about the way we view video games? Valve is the company behind Team Fortress 2. Valve is also the company that made Steam, in case you didn't know. So presumably, Valve could have used Team Fortress 2 and their other games as examples of how they wanted other developers to use the achievement function on Steam. So for Team Fortress 2, a game that doesn't have a lot of story or progression, they load the game up with a bunch of milestones or particular wacky scenarios you might run into given enough playtime. But there are different types of games out there that aren't live service games, right? We have single-player story games, for example. Valve models this with Portal, for example, a game with achievements for finding secrets and completing various story beats. Story beat achievements as in you literally can't beat the game as intended without unlocking these achievements. There are also achievements that you can get in this game by checking out nooks and crannies and discovering secrets, and the game seems to want to give you a balanced diet of both of these kinds of achievements. When you get the fully upgraded Portal gun, you get an achievement. When you beat the game, you get an achievement. These are story beat achievements. Like I said earlier, if you play the main story from start to finish, you're not going to not get these achievements. Unless I guess you're glitching through the game, you're gonna get them. It's pretty scripted. Like, it would be more impressive if you got an achievement for beating the game without getting these achievements. But there's also achievements for knocking down the cameras, for example. Then there's also achievements for the advanced maps, achievements that, if you earn them, show a degree of mastery with the mechanics of the game. So if you beat Portal for the first time, you will at least have the story beat achievements, and probably a handful of other achievements that you happen to pick up along the way. But as you close the game after beating it, you may notice the Steam library page saying that you've only completed a small percentage of the game. And this communicates to the player that, yes, they did beat the game, but there is still more game for them if they are hungry for more. It's the developers communicating to the player directly, letting them know that the adventure doesn't have to be over yet. I've made a few categories for achievements so far, but let's just go over them real fast. We have story beat achievements, coolness achievements, secret/discovery achievements, milestone/collection achievements, and cheeky achievements, or as I like to call them, achievements. With the model that Valve has set, games should have some story beat achievements. Story beat achievements are important for marking what chapter of the game you have passed, and they help make you feel like you've done something by playing the game you've been playing. Most games have a mixture for balance. Nier Automata is an example of the standard procedure here. We have achievements for reaching different story points, which in some games could be represented by beating a boss, or in Nier Automata's case, clearing an area, which, to be clear, also means beating a boss. Like, you couldn't get this amusement park completion achievement without fighting Simone de Beauvoir first. And some games would give you an achievement for beating a boss like Simone de Beauvoir, but Nier Automata doesn't. Instead, it gives you an achievement for completing the area Simone de Beauvoir is located in. Amori, by contrast, is a game that separates its story beats by defeating the bosses, not completing the area the boss is waiting in at the end of. Does it communicate something when the developers choose to emphasize the area of completion over the boss fight at the end of the area? Maybe it does. Maybe I'm reading too much into it. I'm sure for some games there's very little thought put into the achievements, but I do sometimes feel like developers try to use the achievement feature on Steam to enhance the artistic value of the product. Anyway, Nier Automata and Amori, like most games, and following in the example set by Portal, has plenty of story beat achievements that are supplemented by other kinds of achievements like coolness achievements and discovery achievements, and so on. A healthy, diverse, balanced collection of achievements seems to be the way to go. But there are some games that aren't diversified. Some games that have exclusively story beat achievements and nothing else. The Last Campfire is a puzzle game that only has story beat achievements. It's not like the game doesn't have optional collectibles. It does, but there's no Steam achievements for them. You can't actually beat this game without 100%ing the game by Steam achievement standards. And it feels weird. It feels like the developers don't value the hidden collectibles enough to recognize those secrets in the form of an achievement. Or maybe the devs are trying to communicate that finding those hidden collectibles should just be the achievement in of itself. Paper Trua is a short point-and-click adventure game that is the same way. If you beat the game, you've 100%ed it. Only story beats are recognized. Sometimes it feels like developers don't give the medium of video games enough credit when they hand out achievements in this fashion. The reason Netflix doesn't have story beat achievements is because they would be redundant. I don't need a Netflix achievement to tell me that I finished season 1 of a show or something because I can already see that. The reason achievements work in video games is because you can do so much more than just follow story beats, but I guess that doesn't matter to these games. Just beating the story beats is all that matters here. Or at least that's what I hear the devs saying when they only include story beat achievements. Chrono Trigger on Steam is so annoying because of the achievements. They're all story beat achievements, but it's not like The Last Campfire. The game has 13 achievements, and each one is for a different ending of Chrono Trigger. I beat this game after 30 hours, but Steam will tell you that I'm only 7% through the game. I hate this. Give me some more story beat achievements at least so that I can feel like I put a dent into the game. I liked the ending that I got, but it feels like the developers are telling me that this is not good enough. On the complete other side of this particular story beat achievement spectrum, there's To the Moon. To the Moon is a story game. It has a really good story to it. I highly recommend it for the story, and it only has one achievement: going to the moon, beating the game. That's the one achievement. Do you think this communicates anything to you about how the devs see their game? Now, another thing that's interesting is the games that are on the complete opposite side that don't have any story beat achievements whatsoever. I have beaten Outer Wilds, but you probably wouldn't know that if you just looked at my Steam achievements. All of these achievements are discovery/milestone/cheeky kinds of achievements. There's not even an achievement for beating the game. How will anybody know if I beat it? Wuppo Definitive Edition, great game. I even finished it. And at least least this game has an achievement to prove it, but that's the only story beat achievement in sight. Apparently I missed out on quite a bit more here, even though my experience felt complete. The list of achievements that these games have feel like they're missing their skeleton without the story beat achievements. I don't feel like the game completion represents how much of the game I actually experienced. It feels like having these story beat achievements really help glue the rest of the achievement hunting together for me personally, but I can certainly see the value in some of these other achievements. Collection or coolness achievements, as well as secret or discovery achievements, tend to feel like trophies more than anything. They're the kind of achievements that you could show off to your friends. They're usually the only reward for grinding a game to its limits. In the case of coolness achievements, they're for being cool. For collection achievements, they represent dedication and often patience. And discovery achievements can speak to your attention to detail. But I don't know if these trophies are for anyone besides yourself. Like, one of the benefits of achievements being sort of in the void between the player and the art is that your friends can see those achievements. But I don't know how many people really use Steam as a social media platform, you know? No one pings their friends through Steam when Discord is a thing. Do you really look at your friends' Steam profile achievements? And that's to say nothing of how meaningless 100%ing a game on Steam is, right? According to Steam, I've 100%ed The Last Campfire, but apparently I've only gotten through 7% of Chrono Trigger. I've gotten all of the achievements on both Persona 4 and Persona 5, and I can tell you 100%ing Persona 5 is much easier than 100%ing Persona 4. These trophies feel kind of meaningless from a display or pride standpoint. There are exceptions, of course, but I do feel like most of these achievements are for yourself. It's the devs showing you a little bit more love directly. Look at me, I'm so cool. I definitely got this achievement for killing God with my fists in the Eternal Castle Remastered. But I didn't get that achievement because I was trying to do that, but because I didn't know there was any other option. I got rewarded for having a skill issue. And look at this blue ribbon achievement I got from Stardew Valley. I definitely didn't have 3 of my friends who actually play this game carry me to victory. Do these achievements really mean anything if they can mean anything? And look, it's nice, isn't it? It's nice when a developer gives you these achievements. To acknowledge the way in which you played the game. To reward you for your efforts. I can appreciate that. Some of my favorite achievements are the achievements. Some examples of these achievements would be the Carpal Tunnel Revenue achievement in Paradigm. The game tells you to click a button 10,000 times, which is obviously unreasonable, so the best course of action is to actually solve the puzzle. But you can actually skip the puzzle if you just click the button 10,000 times. Return of the Obra Dinn gives you an achievement for blaming all of the deaths on the captain, which kinda makes sense if you think about it. Deep Rock Galactic has this roller coaster achievement where you can build an incredibly lengthy pipe for 120 seconds, which would be way longer than the kind of pipe you would normally put up. DRG also has these achievements with barrels where you have to like kick all of them into the force field under the drop pod, or put 4 barrels in the drop pod seats, that kind of goofy stuff. The Stanley Parable has this achievement called Go Outside, in which you have to not play the game for 5 years. And one of my favorites is from Amori. You think you're clever, don't you? An achievement that you get by naming Sunny Omocat, the developer's name. This achievement actually gave you a $1 discount to Omocat's store at one point, which I think is cute. Also, I don't really know where to put this in the video, but Wandersong has this really weird section where you play as the generic protagonist hero character, and you get achievements for doing basic things like jumping, using the reflect ability, dashing, or just using the lightning ability. Pressing buttons a number of times. This is not an exaggeration. You get an achievement for jumping 5 times, 10 times, 20 times. You get spammed with achievements in this section. Why is the game like this? Is this a meta commentary on how gamers who like to be empowered love getting Steam achievements too much or something? The entire rest of the game isn't like this. It's just these sections of Wandersongs. I don't know. Achievements are just pure fun, right? Sometimes they're ways for developers to have some fun. Sometimes they're ways for devs to tell you, I see you, you little goofy goober you. And they are sometimes the developers trying to nudge players into doing a funny thing. Achievements are successful in nudging different players to different degrees. I know people who don't care about Steam achievements, but me and my friend Caleb decided we definitely wanted to get that DRG roller coaster achievement. So we started up a mission mission with that goal in mind. We selected an engineer for the platform gun and a driller for the terrain removal. We set the hazard level as low as we could get it, and we picked a liquid morkite mission with no intention of completing it. We radically altered how we played the game just so we could get a Steam achievement. And in the back of my mind, I don't like that. I don't like the feeling that developers can dangle an achievement in my face and I'll go for it. No. I'm the kind of gamer that prioritizes the artistic value of video games over the superfluous dopaminergic kick from a measly Steam achievements. I'm better than that. Or at least that's how I want to view myself. In Enter the Gungeon, I sat in a minecart and killed 100 enemies to get this stupid achievement, even though it's a terrible way to play the game and I hated it. I made an infinite loop in Portal so that I could get this stupid achievement for falling 30,000 feet. I changed my playstyle in Enter the Breach so that I could get some of the achievements, even if it hurt me in the long run. I buy stuff in video game stores that I'll never use just so that I can get an achievement for buying all of the items. I will go out of my way to kill a certain number of enemies with a certain kind of weapon just so I can get an achievement. The devs can dangle achievements in front of my face, and you know what? I do go for them. I was most recently playing Picayune Dreams, a solid Vampire Survivors like with an RPG maker kind of story underneath. I quite like this game. It's my favorite of the bullet heaven genre thus far. Picayune Dreams has an achievement for leveling every single weapon in the game to level 8. Now, for a lot of these weapons, there's good reasons to level them up outside of just getting the Steam achievement. They often unlock other weapons, but not always. And I felt compelled to play the game in a way I didn't really want to in order to collect them all. I don't really like using this spear weapon, but I feel like I need to sacrifice at least one run to get that spear up 8 levels for a Steam achievement. And on one hand, this does seem like a good way for developers to encourage the player to try new things and step out of their box a little. But on the other hand, I don't want to be a slave to dopamine. I don't want my pursuits of jingles and trinkets to outweigh the artistic relationship I have with a video game. My first experience with Persona 4 was magical. I had no intention of trying to get all of the achievements. I mean, it's a JRPG and I'm not really the completionist type, but after I had finished the game, I wanted more. So I replayed the game on New Game Plus, and I had a great time. But by the time I had finished my second playthrough, I realized that I was kinda close to getting all the achievements. So I thought, why not get them all? New Game Plus Part 3, here we go! This time with min-maxing. I'm going to max out all my social links, beat all the secret bosses, read all the books, and so on. And I almost made it. I had one slip up with the book reading achievement. Most of the books that you have to read in this game come from a bookstore. You can just buy the books and read them, but there are a handful of books that you get elsewhere. One of these books was very easy to miss. You had to be friends with Ko and Daisuke, be rank 4 in their social link by the middle of July, and you had to accept a phone call invitation to hang out with them on a specific day. I checked all of these boxes during my playthrough, but I didn't realize there was one more requirement needed to get that book. You need to tell Ko that you're allergic to algebra. If you don't select this dialogue option, Ko will not give you the book Polyland. There is no other way to get this book. If you miss out on that hangout day, or don't have the social link ranked high enough, or choose to reassure Ko that you're actually good at math, you are completely locked out of getting the compulsive reader achievement. Upon realizing this, I had two options. Move on, which makes sense. I mean, it's a dumb book that I couldn't have figured out how to get without a guide in the first place. And there are many other games on my backlog, like really, I have better things to do. But at the same time, I was right there. I was one achievement off from 100%ing the game. It was going to itch me until the end of time. So on Christmas Eve of 2020, I speed ran Persona 4 for 8 hours straight with the goal of getting this dumb achievement. I played the game on the easiest difficulty, ignored all the social links, and just bought all the books and read them on every free slot I had. I made sure to tell Ko that I was allergic to algebra, and around midnight on Christmas Day, I got the achievement, along with the achievement for 100%ing the game. I was compelled by a Steam achievement to spend an entire day playing Persona 4 for the 4th time. That makes me feel kind of uneasy. Like my life is more dictated by bells and whistles and bars filling up to 100% completion than the artistry of a video game. But maybe my dedication to the game stems from my love for the artistry of the game, right? The original reason I came back to Persona 4 was because the gameplay loop and the characters resonated with me so much. I bought Blasphemous 2 times because of how much that game resonated with me. I wanted to 100% the game on Steam as a sort of declaration to how much this game meant to me personally. This was my game, and Steam achievements let me express that by getting all of them. I'm currently trying to 100% Amori, in part to justify this gorgeous art book and walkthrough book that I purchased. I finished this game in January of 2021, and I loved it so much. Amori has my favorite story of all time, but I didn't care to replay it at the time. However, as I'm going after all the achievements and witnessing the different routes you can take in the game, I feel like my appreciation for the game has grown. In this way, I feel like achievements have been good, I think. An outward expression of my love for a game, world, and experience. Or is that just what I keep telling myself? Now, if you know me, I'm primarily a PC gamer. I don't really have an Xbox or PlayStation, and I don't want one. I'm happy waiting for the console exclusives to eventually get ported to PC. Now, I'm vaguely aware that there are achievement systems on these platforms, trophies or whatever, but I really only talk about Steam achievements because that's, my platform. It's all that I care about. But I do have a Nintendo Switch, because Nintendo isn't porting games to PC anytime soon. And when it comes to gaming, swapping between my PC and my Switch is kinda interesting. You see, the Switch doesn't have achievements for their games. Except for Luigi's Mansion 3 for some reason, but I mean like outside of the game itself. There's no Steam achievement equivalent on Switch. And it's weird playing through games like Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door, or Super Mario RPG, or Pikmin 4, and just kind of expecting a pop-up for an achievement after beating a boss or something, and it just doesn't happen. I don't like that I feel like I'm missing that. I don't like that I feel like I'm missing something after a story beat or after I collect all of a collectible or something. It feels like an odd but pure gaming experience on the Switch. You know what's interesting? There are Steam games that don't have Steam achievements. And in some cases, this is because the devs aren't thinking about achievements. Achievements are often an afterthought for the games themselves, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the games that feel like they deliberately don't have Steam achievements. The 2 games that come to mind for me are The Beginner's Guide and Yume Nikki. Now, both of these games kinda have things in common, namely that the gameplay kind of takes a backseat, which I'd imagine doesn't lend itself very well to the whole achievement thing, I guess. But it's not like there aren't opportunities to have achievements in these games. Beginner's Guide has an invisible maze that you're allowed to skip, and you can choose to not skip it and complete it anyway. And the game even has a small and insignificant yet unique voice line that plays if you complete that awful maze, but no Steam achievement for it. Yume Nikki has dozens of events that could be used for Steam achievements. Interacting with Minoko with a stoplight power-up, or crashing into Mars, or finding Yuboa. There are so many things in this game that could have easily been made into Steam achievements, but it chooses not to. And I'm assuming that choice, to be fair. I don't know with certainty that the developers of these games didn't just forget to add them in. But at the same time, I have a strong hunch that this is an intentional artistic decision for these games. I mean, Davey knows how to put Steam achievements in a game. He did it for the Stanley Parable. I don't think he forgot about Steam achievements after all these years. And the author of Yume Nikki won't speak about the meaning of the game at all. I sincerely doubt that he wants to communicate about the game in any fashion outside of the game itself, including through Steam achievements. It is my belief that while most games have a more direct line of communication to the player outside of the art in the form of these achievements, there are artists out there who feel like their creations speak for themselves. They need not add any more input, lest they contaminate the language of the art and storytelling with themselves. When you're trying to make an art game that puts less of an emphasis on gameplay, Steam achievements break some of that immersion. By not having Steam achievements, these games make statements. This game isn't interested in giving you a little pop-up that tickles your dopamine receptors. It's like communicating to the player that this is not an experience designed to boost your serotonin or dopamine. And if you play games for that reason, there's not going to be a lot for you here. And I respect that perspective so much, man. It's as though they are so dedicated to the artistic merit of what they have to offer that they forego any superfluous bells and whistles so that the attention can remain on the art. You don't get a Steam achievement for completing the beginner's guide. The achievement is in experiencing the game. If that isn't enough for you, maybe move on. This game isn't interested in winning you over in that particular fashion. You don't get a Steam achievement for finding Euboa. The achievement is in the fact that you got to experience that moment. And that should be enough for you. You don't need a developer to more directly pat you on the back with these achievements. You shouldn't need a pop-up to tell you that you're achieving something. These moments should be enough for you. This art and this relationship that you have with this art should be enough for you. Jacob Geller has a video called Games That Aren't Games. A video going over, well, games that aren't games. One of the examples that he pulls from is a game called Mountain. Mountain is a cheap game that you can pick up on Steam. It's such a simple game that I almost worry I'll just straight up plagiarize Jacob Geller if I explain it. All you do is draw on some paper and there's a mountain. That's it. That's the whole game. I haven't played the game myself, and Jacob better covers the game and the controversy surrounding it, but something that stood out to me was this part of the video in which he criticized the newer Steam version of Mountain.
Mountain has gone through a couple overhauls since release. A newer version with better graphics is now available on Steam and the App Store. Unfortunately, this version also adds achievements, like use all the keyboard musical notes, which I really think takes away from its introspective nature.
It's interesting to think about criticizing a game for having Steam achievements, but it depends on the game. If a game is supposed to have an introspective nature, as Geller puts it, achievements dampen the ability for the art to express itself in that manner. I feel the same sort of way about What Remains of Edith Finch. What Remains of Edith Finch is an incredibly well done short story that utilizes the medium of gaming to an incredible degree. It's a walking simulator that knows it's a walking simulator and still manages to tell a compelling narrative. I've sung about its many praises to many of my friends on multiple occasions, and I recommend it to you if you haven't played it yet. Oh, and this game also has Steam achievements, for some reason. All roads take both paths to the house. Okay, knock all the letters of Gregory's name into the bathtub. Okay? I love What Remains of Edith Finch. I also wish that this game didn't have Steam achievements. I think this game would have benefited from their absence. These Steam achievements don't feel like they're there because they add to the game's artistic merit. Rather, they feel like they're there because the developers were like, welp, it's a Steam game, guess we gotta give it some Steam achievements. Go ahead and just throw some in there, I guess. Now, trust me, it doesn't make me hate the game overall, you should still play it if you haven't, but I'd like it if more developers considered what it would communicate to their players if they deliberately chose to not have achievements in their games. Video games didn't always have achievements, right? Back in the day, the achievement was accomplishing something in-game. You don't need some external platform telling you accomplished something. You knew that you accomplished something. You didn't need Steam patting you on the head with a rectangle at the corner of your screen. I've been thinking a lot recently about how the way we play video games is a reflection of our personalities. I've been entertaining the idea that my relationship to video games reflects on some level who I am as a person. Like, I think the fact that I try a wide variety of games is reflective of me being open to new experiences. And I hate open world games because too many options overwhelms me as a person. I even noticed how my defensive playstyle in competitive Pokemon was reflected in how I sparred in my real life Taekwondo class. And if it is even a little bit true that my relationship to these games are somewhat of a reflection on me as a person, then I'm not sure that I like that I go after Steam achievements. I don't know if I like that I 100%ed Persona 4. I don't know if I like that I will continue to monitor my average game completion rate on Steam. I don't know if I like that I'm the kind of person who will go out of my way for the trophies instead of being content with what the trophies represent. That despite the fact that I strive to be the kind of person who prioritizes the artistry in games, at the end of the day, Steam achievements are a reminder to myself that I am just another monkey brain that will happily lap up any trace of dopamine, even if it's ultimately hollow. And maybe there's a way for me to play Steam games offline or turn the achievement notifications off or something, and maybe you've been yelling at me to turn them off this whole time or just learn not to care about them. But you don't understand. I don't want to turn off Steam achievements. I love getting Steam achievements. I don't want to stop getting them. But I don't like that I like them. And I kind of wish that I never got my first Steam achievement. You know?